All right, Braves Country Convos coming at you today. We have a super exciting guest, one of my dear friends, going on 15 years maybe since we've known each other. We are talking to, yeah, do the math there, Mike. Mike Macdonald, current head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. Mike is coming to us live from Seattle this morning. I'm Jori, your host, marketing director here. Lauren, your in-game host, who you see all the time. She's got the best hair in baseball, as I say. Mike, how the heck are you?
I'm good. I'm stepping out of our Mariner, constituency over here, but anything for you, Jory, we'll make it happen. So it's good to see you guys.
I appreciate that. I do adore my contacts at the Mariners, though, so I'm glad. We'll get into that later when y'all had your little visit over there. But yeah, that's another great franchise to be around. So, Mike, you're one of the coolest guys. I respect you so much. You had a pretty wild 2024 coaching in the NFC Championship game, I believe, with the Ravens. Then became a head coach for the first time, moved about as far away as I think you possibly could to Seattle. Uh, Inherited a team, all of that. But I think the most important thing, I hope you agree with me, is you became a dad last year as well. So just tell us all about that. How is fatherhood? How is your little adorable son? How's Stephanie doing? How's life at home right now?
Well, it's the myth of January out here in Seattle is a myth this year so far. I don't want to jinx it, but the weather's been awesome. So like we were out on the lake yesterday with a couple friends, and we brought Jack, which is like just getting out of the house on short
Yeah.
notice is a little bit of an act of Congress these days. So I won the argument back and forth of Steph and I of like getting out, but we were happy we went, and it was cool. Like it was Jack's first boat ride, and he was cool. Like he loves it. Obviously the engine like is great, but he's sleeping on you, and you're just like, man, this is life. And
Yeah.
so it's going great. We're looking forward to finishing up mini camp this week, but this year is definitely a little bit calmer seas out there. Last year was pretty wild. Um, you know, Steph was pregnant really throughout the whole season, and then Jack was born. I don't know, like week 4, like December 3rd, so whatever week that was, going into an Arizona game. But so it was a whirlwind, to say the least. But it's exciting. Like and you don't like get into like this line of work to just be boring and just kind of you know just have a regular job. So you got to kind of be up for everything.
I want to hear a little bit more about that birth story, just because I always find that so interesting, like what the players do, how they kind of handle that. So how did you and your wife kind of go into the season knowing that it could happen on a game day? Like what was the plan?
Yeah.
How did you guys figure all that out?
Well, you would think like with me that I would have it like budgeted out on an Excel sheet, or it was all planned, but it really wasn't. It was just like, look, whatever happens, happens. He was due I think he was due on a Monday. So he was born a week early, and so we're just like, look, we'll see what happens. If it's on game day, well, that might be a little tricky. Like probably gonna have to miss a game. Like Leslie Fraser, our assistant head coach. Hey man, like go get him, buddy. That could have been that, or adamant that I like coached in the game. So we hadn't really like made like a hard and fast decision. But fortunately, we came back from played the Jets in New York. Came back. It was funny. We were doing like our post game like Monday routine, like meeting with everybody, and I go into the meet with the defense, and I'm like, yeah, Steph's, she's doing a week, but like, she's meeting with a doctor now, and one of the guys was like, you need to call her and figure out like what's going on for that meeting, because when I had that call, like I had a baby in like the next 4 hours. I was like, oh shoot, okay. So I called Steph, and like as it goes, she was like, look, they're gonna keep me here at the hospital, and I didn't know how long it takes or whatever. So I tell everybody, I'm like, hey, peace out. I'll see you guys later. This is Monday, so it's no big deal. So like grab my computer, grab all the things, like hurry up to get to the hospital. And all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, nothing's going to happen for like another day. So, but it was great. I was in the hospital for a day and got to spend a lot of time with her. And fortunately, like the whole process was, seemed like nothing went crazy. It was kind of
Yeah,
like,
that's great.
write notes and no, like you're trying to judge like doctors' body language and nurses' body language and whether or not, how calm they are. But everyone was awesome. And day and a half later, we went out of there as a family of 3. So it was pretty cool.
Oh, well, congratulations. That's awesome. And it seems like it seemed like it happened on a good day of the week for your work schedule.
Yeah, it worked out perfect. Like Tuesday, I think by then the guys had Tuesdays off. So then I did go back to work like the next day. But
naturally,
Wednesday practice, you got to be there. Wednesday practice, it's a big time day for us. And but Steph was great. Her folks were in town, and
Good.
So we had a lot of help at the house too. So it was good.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, congrats again. And for our listeners who might not be as familiar with your story, wanted to see if you could give us your own kind of Cliff Notes version. So I'll kind of kick it off in the sense that you and I became friends at the University of Georgia. My sorority, your fraternity, we're always buddies and hanging out. There's a few marriages that resulted as well. And then I'd say you and I really became friends really more junior year when we were in the Leonard Leadership Scholars cohort. So Mike and I had classes together, and that's kind of where I know for me personally, I was like, okay, if I've got to spend 60+% of my life working, why not pick something you love doing? And so it kind of became clear through all of our exercises and that kind of stuff that I wanted to work in sports and really wanted to pursue the front office side of things. I think you kind of was like, oh, this coaching thing could be really fun. Both of us were finance majors. Mike got a lot better grades than I did, could have gone to Wall Street. I would have been like a bank teller at the best. But, so 2010, it's May, we're graduating. I head up to New York City to take an internship with the commissioner's office and kind of walk us through, your path from there.
Yeah, people are probably wondering, like, why is the Seattle head coach on the Braves podcast?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I grew up in Atlanta, like you said, Jori, and then went to Georgia, and you're trying to I didn't play football in college. Didn't really, like a lot of people, didn't really know what you wanted to do. Knew I was like obsessed with sports. Didn't really like all the school stuff. Like, you try to work hard to get good grades, but it's nothing like, man, I just love these financial equations. Like fired up on the market today. Like that was never part of my jam, even being a finance major and getting part of that program. Meeting people like you, Jori, and having these awesome friends that had all these different interests and had like the courage to go pursue it. It was really empowering. We had some awesome, professors, Dr. Clausen, shout out. But I was coaching high school ball with my old high school coach in Athens, starting junior year too. So I had kind of these like parallel experiences that just kind of nudged me over time to say, hey, look, like if you're 40 something years old and you didn't try to coach, you're going to be kicking yourself. And so I kind of pestered my way onto the University of Georgia coaching staff. As a graduate, so it's a funny story. So I've been like for 2 years, I've been going into the office like every Tuesday and Wednesday, trying to meet with Coach Tarashinsky, trying to figure out a way to like get on the team. So I'm like, I got good grades. I'm Leonard. I got all these like things, and I have no job coming like April, about to graduate in a month, and I'm still trying to coach. And like before the AAM, which like, back then it was a minor miracle if you showed up for an 8 a.m. class, but I was at Starbucks and I saw Todd Grantham, the defensive coordinator at the time. And I was like, hey, look, I've been the guy that like keeps bothering you, but here I am, like in the flesh, like, what's up? And he was like, well, come to the office. And, long story short, he said, look, if you can get into grad school, like, come on. And so I like pulled some strings to like get into grad school. It was super late. Like I was behind the thing. People were pissed off, but I took out like a $20,000 loan, went to grad school, worked for free for a year. Then the GAs left. I became the GA and then did that for 3 years. And it's just a mentality of like, look, I want it to be real. I want to be the guy that knows the stuff. I don't want to be like a guy that kind of just skirts his way around and just be part of the program. I want to make an impact. And there's so many other things that went on, but ended up interviewing at KPMG, which is kind of funny. At the end of my graduate assistantship, had a job lined up, signed a deal, was going to go work in Atlanta for $55,000 a year. It's going to be a rich man. And the way that God does it, like I get a call from the Ravens that they're starting an internship. This is 2014. And then 2 weeks later, I flew up there and did the internship. And a week later, I was packing my U-Haul and $35,000 a year internship, which was a ton of money for me back then. That was awesome. I was making $450
and you're coming from
month.
zero. Yeah. 35.
I was making $450 a month or $20,000 in debt. Yeah, I was like, man, I can afford like anything I want. This is great. Anything I could possibly want, I could make on $36K. And that was just like, this is an opportunity of a lifetime. Great people. The organization was awesome. So much like schematic stuff too. And then like the great players and the way John ran his program. And then it just kind of like these opportunities that just kept stacking in front of one another. I joke with people, I was like the young and cheap option there in Baltimore. As there were options, on the coaching staff, the linebacker coach, DB coach. And I was in Baltimore for 9 years and just kind of kept going and going and going. We had a lot of success in Baltimore, and then we can get into this, but I ended up at Michigan and then came back to Baltimore to be the defensive coordinator. And when we were in Michigan, we played the University of Georgia and got our butts kicked. And I was really, that was kind of a bizarro Twilight Zone moment for me. But it's just been really blessed to, a lot of people want to work in sports, and you have to be like incredibly lucky, but luck is kind of the people talk about. It's the marriage of like being prepared and having an opportunity too. And I believe it's somewhere in the middle. So yeah, you get these opportunities and you just want to make the most of them and do a great job for the people that you work for and your team and stuff. And here we are kind of sitting here. It's almost 20 years actually, Jori.
20?
Or closer to 20 than 15. Which
oh
is
yeah.
Wow.
That's, yeah. And here we are. We're living the dream and like actually made it.
I love it.
What did your parents say to you when, you're at UGA and you're like, yeah, I'm going to take out this huge loan and go to grad school and work for free? Like, I feel like no one has the guts to do things like that anymore. I know I would have a hard time being like, all right, I'm going to put myself in huge debt to chase this crazy dream.
Well, our parents were, I'm sure your parents are the same, Jori. Like, my sisters are super rad. Like, one's the CMO of her company. My other sister is pursued being an actress and then became a stunt woman, and now she's a stunt coordinator. She's working on Last of Us, and so they got these really cool careers that but they were given like the air to breathe, and go figure stuff out and do stuff that they didn't like and change course. And I really attribute that to my parents. Like, my dad's like a straight shooter, West Point guy, professional butt kicker, like taught me like, hey, like this is the way, man. Like, there's a right way to do stuff. And I really appreciate that about him. But so he was also like, hey, also it's, she go into business. There's a lot of opportunities and we have a lot of money. Like, there's great opportunities out there in the marketplace. But once he kind of understood, I think once he felt like the passion about it, he was great. He was really empowering and said, hey, look, like, go for it. He wanted a plan. Like, he wants to know, like, okay, he doesn't just go into it willy nilly. It's the same with my sisters. And sometimes that could be like annoying, like, hey, Dad, like, leave me alone. I'm just, let me follow my passion, like, which is, he's like, all right, listen here, kid. I kind of know the way of the world here. So, but he let us do it. And, again, you just kind of start taking these baby steps, and I think he feels that you're making progress and you're working hard. And so, it all happened. But it was that way with both my sisters too.
Yeah, my parents were the same way. It's like, I mean, why not give it a try when you're that young and you've at least got a good degree you can fall back on, I do remember my dad being like, I think I took my third straight unpaid internship in sports. He's like, are you ever gonna let them pay you? And I was like, yeah, that's the goal. But now I've built my resume to where
this is the last one I
yeah, exactly. But yeah, when I went to New York City for that summer, I reached out to Mike's sister who was up there she was doing her acting stuff and stunt double, and she was so sweet. So like, yeah, y'all are all rock stars.
It is funny now, if like when your kids get older, wouldn't you give them the same advice?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so glad I was not
You're 20 years
pressured
old,
into
you're
like,
so young, like and you don't know anything. Like, go get
no.
experience, go learn stuff.
Yeah. Try.
You talked about making $35,000 back in 2014. I took a local news job in Jackson, Mississippi, and made $35,000 2 years ago.
Yeah, goes a long way.
So I'm glad you felt rich, because I was like, what am I doing with my life? But we got to give it a shot and at least try.
Yeah.
Oh, heck yeah. I had an apartment and I could go out to dinner. It was elite. It was awesome. I think that's
great.
funny. It's come full circle because we're talking about our team now about like how we want to be and how we want to practice and how we want to operate, and one thing that's really come out of it was we talk about like earning the right to like let it rip. I think that's the case when you're that age too. Like, just go work really hard, like, do well in school, like go do your or if you don't want to go in school, like go learn a bunch of stuff and actually know it rather than fake like but like be a real person that can add value, and then just go freaking give it a shot. Like, go give it a full go and let the chips fly, and let's figure out, and then wherever it kind of falls and you kind of reassess and you just move forward and go to the next thing. And if it works out, great. Something you love doing, well, maybe I found something. Well, if it isn't, well, at least I learned I didn't want to do that. Well, but I love this part about it, and you kind of pivot, and like, that's exciting. The non-exciting stuff is like, man, I'll just play it safe and go do whatever. Like, that never really resonated with me.
I love that. So you're moving across the country. You're a first-time head coach. I mean, obviously, I've been with the Braves for 8 seasons now in a row. When in my training year in 2011, we had a first-time manager, or he wasn't a first-time manager, but Freddie Gonzalez came in as the new manager that year. I've seen GMs come and go. A few years ago, our beloved broadcasters left, and we hired new folks. So I know how hard it is to come into an organization. And I've been following you, all last year. I listened to your Monday morning, or whenever it is, the radio show you do after the games. And it seems like the media sentiment and the fan sentiment is really positive. Obviously, I think you were the winningest first-time head coach last year with a 10-7 record. I believe I have my stats right. I mean, you had a winning record. You're a young guy, relatively speaking, in the coach's terms. I mean, obviously, you're older than most of the players on your team, I would imagine. But what was it like just kind of having to come in? The culture's kind of up to you. How do you set the tone? How do you build the buy-in? Because it seems like for a first-year head coach, I mean, you did a lot of the right things and said a lot of the right things.
It's a question that, like, I think if you do it right, it can build team, like you see in here in Seattle. You can build teams that will last for a really long time. You can try to build something really special. So it's the most important thing that you do out, including X's and O's, because that drives player acquisition and all the things, right? It's just, hey, what are you going to hang your hat on? What are you going to stand on? So we're still working on it now. It's a daily thing. I'm about to have a podcast later, or not a podcast, but a Zoom with a couple folks we're working with. We're getting ready for today's team meeting, going into, mini camp. So it's an ongoing process. As a first time coach, it's not easy. Like, but I think you have to have a clear idea or a vision of what you're trying to build. And then from that point, it's about, communicating it. And sometimes where I've fallen short is, like, you assume that people know because you don't want to be annoying, or you're not trying to be like the overzealous leader guy, but it's also like, hey, like, this is really important. And there's ways to kind of drive home those messages and things. I think, I had a lot of ideas coming out of Baltimore. I've been with some great people and, been kind of in the background for such a long time. So you're just kind of whittling away at all these notes and files of just how you see things. And so you come in with all this, hey, this is what we want to do, so I want to operate, but it's a lot, So I've learned that to narrow the scope, to make it a little more potent. I think it can resonate with more people when it's tighter throughout the organization. So, hey, yeah, you are going to folks calling it like in our business side or our front office and saying like, hey, this is what's really important to me. This is what's going to be important to our team. Hey, we want you to get on board. Pete did a great job of that, in his tenure here. John, the people that have lasted a long time and have built, really great teams over the course of the NFL, they have that, What was great about this situation was our general manager, John Schneider, he was here with Pete the whole time. And, and really like Jody's vision of the team, our owner, it's about like that aligned with kind of what my pitch to her was about how we wanted to build it. So it was empowering kind of coming in saying like, hey, look, here's the green light because we do like kind of what you're trying to do. And it aligns with how we've operated here to a certain extent and where we want to take the direction of the team. So knowing that you kind of have that horsepower behind you is helpful, but you are a young guy and it's your first time doing it. If you come in thinking like, hey, I have all the answers and there's no wiggle room here, no room for growth, like I think you can kind of go astray there. So try to have the mentality of, hey, we're in a growing phase here. We're all growing, we're all evolving. Now there's some kind of non-negotiables about how we want to operate, but I think if people kind of feel like you have that mentality and that growth mindset with them, it makes like that integration a little bit easier where you're not just saying, hey, like, boom, here's the law, blah, 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 it's kind of a little more rigid that way. So that was the mentality. And it was good. Like we did a lot of good things, but we didn't win the championship. We didn't win the Super Bowl, and that's our ultimate goal. So we know there's, room for growth, and that's a lot of what we're doing right now.
Is there anything maybe different or new about the role that you weren't expecting until you actually were a head coach in the NFL?
That like the stuff that I loved doing when I was a coordinator was all ball, just all designing and schemes and coaching and all the football stuff. This job is about aligning people and getting them going in a certain direction. And that's where my most growth is. You don't totally underestimate it. You just, if you worry about all the things, it gets a little overwhelming, but trying to figure out, hey, like, we talk about like what's important now. Just keep stacking these little things, and this is what a lot of like coaches that gave me advice going in say, hey, look, like you're gonna have a huge laundry list of stuff, and you're like, holy smokes, how could I ever get this done between now and whatever time? They're like, it's gonna get done. Just trust the process, trust the decision making, stick to your guns, trust the people around you. Hire great people, work with them. All those principles that we learned like back in the day, like. You're learning on a chalkboard, back in 2010 or whatever, but it's true. But you got to go through it. You got to go experience it and pay attention to what works and what resonates with you and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, we always say in baseball, like that's why they're called managers. They're not head coaches because they're just managing things. They're not like out there coaching you with the fundamentals. Like you just got to
dynamic like leadership title.
Yeah, exactly.
What we learned in school is like there's a manager, then there's leaders,
So true.
You'd be like a leader, that sounds cooler.
Yeah. Okay, so take us back to your Roswell Centennial kind of years or Alpharetta. I feel like you're from Roswell, but you'd be like, oh, I'm from Alpharetta. Or, I don't know. The lines are blurred there.
The lines are right. Where's Johns Creek in the whole equation? I don't understand.
So my husband went to Centennial too, and his parents' address, Merganser, is in Johns Creek technically, but then it comes up as Alpharetta sometimes. So it's like right on the Roswell and Johns Creek line, I feel like.
Seems a little fishy to me. Maybe we need to do some digging there.
Right.
Horseshoe Bend, Exit 7.
Yeah. Love it. So you played high school football, correct?
Yeah, a little bit. I played a little high school football. I was a better baseball player, believe it or not.
Okay. Yeah. Walk us through kind of your youth sports and what little Mike was passionate about and doing.
Well, he came from Boston where like, yeah, you played a little bit of T-ball or whatever when I was like 6, but then you come here and it's like, or you come down to Atlanta and it's sports all day, all year long. Like it's a great place to grow up. Roswell Area Park, we initially got like, what do you call it back then? Like just like Little League, I guess. I don't know. Before then.
Mike, I'm there like 4 days a week now.
Roswell Area Park?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Is it thriving right now?
Oh yeah, it's thriving. That thing is packed. There's always something going on.
RAP, Hembry Park still alive and
Yeah,
well.
that's like youth baseball central. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like did all the things, football or not, basketball, soccer, baseball year round, and then like travel baseball started and like when we were 11, and we like did like a big no. We went across town to Wills Park. They had a travel team.
Yeah.
Like, that was a great Wills Park Bandits shout out. So then I started like travel baseball. So then we were trying to beat East Cobb for all those years, 11, 12, 13. I think we went all the way to like 14 years old. Then we started high school. Like the kids that were on my team, they were the same age, but they were great ahead of me. So then they were playing high school baseball, and like that was a dream to get like a baseball scholarship and, go to like your wood bat, tryouts or whatever they call them now. But like those guys are insane how good they got. But that was it. Yeah. And then just go to high school at Centennial, and man, what a lifetime ago. Everything was such a big deal. Like it was just like you did anything, it was just like the end of whether you won or lost, it was the end of the world, It's a big deal.
So that's so interesting because I want to get your take on this. Do you have any feelings on, because to the point, like youth sports is just insane down here, and there's so much pressure, like even for my almost 6-year-old son to specialize in baseball. And I know Kirby Smart talks about it. Like he loves recruiting kids that play multiple sports because you feel like they're more developed and well-rounded, but like the pressure is insane. So what is your kind of thought process on?
I'm really glad you asked this, because I want to think that it's more it's simpler than it is when you talk to parents and stuff, because there is a lot of pressure about, because then you start, and then money's involved and it's really expensive, and then the peer it doesn't, like your kid, if they're playing specialized sports at 8 to 12 years old, it's not going to drive them getting a scholarship. It's just not. Like there's super like great athletes out there they're going to develop, and they could pick up a baseball when they're 12 years old and go get a college scholarship. It's just what's important is like building those skills and playing multiple. I mean, that's the only time in your life you can do it, right? It's just, it would be a shame if it kept going that direction. I just really believe that multiple sports is really important. Different skill sets, different people, different like relationship dynamics, leadership dynamics. I mean, there's so many things at play. I really hope that, at least with my kid, he's gonna have he's definitely playing multiple sports. There's no peer pressure going on here.
Right. That's in lacrosse. What do you think about lacrosse? Do you know what lacrosse is?
I feel a certain type of way about lacrosse.
Oh boy.
This is a hot take. It was really popular in Baltimore, like great sport, like north of.
To give you some background, I grew up in Maryland, outside of Baltimore, and I played lacrosse in college here at Georgia, Kennesaw State. So give it to me. Let's debate here.
That's legit. It's a great sport for people that like, because it's a huge sport in Baltimore. Like it's more popular than baseball. But in Georgia, baseball was the driver. Like that's the best, some of the best ball in the country. So if you didn't make the baseball team in high school, then you tried out for the lacrosse team. Then you acted like you were really cool and you were sweet, and you're like, hey dude, like I saw you, like it's all right, like you can play lacrosse, but like don't act like you're cooler than us,
Relax,
bring your lap
guys,
stick
don't get up on
now. Carrying your stick down the hallway, acting like you're sweet, like hey, relax, man.
I like the take. It's funny.
That is awesome. Okay, so I know Lauren, like being from Baltimore and a DC sports fan as well. Mike, tell us about like just kind of the Harbaugh brothers and how you kind of bounced around from the Ravens to Michigan, back to the Ravens, like because that's really a fascinating story.
Yeah, there's not a lot of people that have been able to work for both Harbaugh brothers, and like I guess there's with Jack Harbaugh, their dad, there's kind of a weird connection there too. But man, so I was with John for 8 years, and then with Jim for 1, and then with John for another 2. 7, 2, and then 1. So I've been back and forth. I feel like my personality is similar to John's, where it's just like boom, 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 you know, intense. You know, he's incredibly competitive. Uh, like he's just really passionate about his team and his players. This is John Harbaugh, just very takes I mean, and that's cool about like being a great head coach. Is the team kind of takes the personality of them. Like when you think of the Ravens, that's John Harbaugh. And then had the opportunity when Jim had a defensive coordinator job open. That was really always my like original goal. I just wanted to be a play caller and dial up blitzes, and I thought that was kind of the holy grail of coaching. But so I had that opportunity to go to Michigan to work for Jim, and man, talk about just like a massive learning experience. But like, kind of this is a cool testament to like, hey, they're about the same stuff, but like how they go about it is different. And it's like there's different ways to do it, but it's unique to like those personalities. So like the same stuff, like Jim was like incredibly passionate about his players, supportive of his guys, like the toughness of the team, the grit, the like how we went about, orchestrating his practices and designing his program and recruiting strategy, like all these different things. He's like, he kind of just chases all these different like angles of where, he kind of like read the tea leaves. He's kind of like a man before his time type of an idea. So you have to be like up for that experience because you don't know what's going to change on a daily basis. Where John, like, you knew what you were doing like a year out,
Interesting.
Yeah. So it just showed you like, hey, like you can do it. You can do it like however you want to do it. It's just, but you got to be about the right stuff. It's got to be like unique to you. It's got to be, true to how you operate and your principles and things like that. So it was a lot of fun. Then kind of to come back with John, more of like a leadership role, and then have success with him. It's just been awesome. And like I love that family. Even their parents are great people. They've been really supportive. And then to see Jim have success now in LA, it's like kind of cool because like, hey, it's Jim Harbaugh, it's John Harbaugh, it's Jack Harbaugh. And you're like, I know people. I'm really close to them, a great relationship. So just really, really fortunate to kind of be in that spot.
You think you're in the Harbaugh family will now, Mike?
I know that. I'm on the periphery.
Wouldn't that be nice?
So this industry is so
like Jim's son Jay is our special teams coordinator here.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Keeping it in the family. So
yeah, and the sports industry is all about keeping it in the family and relationships. So can you peel back the curtain a little bit of just how that worked, working for both brothers? Like, I feel like everybody always asks us, like, how did you get your job in sports? So I'm like, well, how much time do you have? Like, there's a whole like tree of how everything worked out. So how did that work out for you?
Well, so the cool thing about John, about how I got my opportunity was he basically said, okay, we have all these connections throughout college football with our scouts and coaches, and let's go find some really young, eager, smart guys that can come in and just work their tails off. And we don't have to have any connections to the guy. Like I'm John Harbaugh. I got the most connections. I got the biggest network known to mankind. But instead of going through his network, he said, hey, look, let's just go through a huge like net out there across the country, and then let's go interview these people and go figure out who would be great fits for us. And that's how I got my opportunity. If he didn't have that mentality, I would never have gotten an opportunity. I had no network. My dad, he's in software sales. Like he's not Marty Schottenheimer. He's Macdonald. So you get, in order to get into that network, you have to get a break like that. So to have that mentality of, hey, let's go find our type of people, and I just that's kind of how I got into that network. So I always appreciated that about him, to have that mindset of, hey, like this is different, but like I think this is what's best for us. Jim operates the same way. I mean, just go through all the crazy stories you hear about Jim Harbaugh, but it's all coming from, well, what's best for this team right now? Well, it just so happens to be that everybody else does the same thing. Like he doesn't think like that. Why wouldn't we do something that's unique to us because this is what we need? I think that's how he's thinking. And like, I'm not as like I'm not as like sometimes like have the risk appetite that he does, but it also gives, again, it's like these things in the back of your mind, like, okay, well, it's about the right things, right? It's good for us. It's legal. Like, well, let's give it a shot, let's give it a shot, methods and principles. So, yeah, it's just a lot of fun to work for those. Now it's intense and like, it's a high standard, and, John's given me some choice words over the years that we laugh about now, but, you do learn that like, he loves you and he cares about you, but like, it's like a dad, like he has a high standard for you. When you fall short, he's going to let you know, because he thinks that, he expects more from you. And so as a person, okay, he does have this vision for me, like that's cool. I want our people here feeling that from me, that like we have high standards, but also like we have visions for our people and we believe in their growth and we want to develop them over time. Like all that stuff's important.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, shifting gears a little bit. So about a month from now, the Atlanta Braves will be hosting MLB All-Star Week and everything that comes along with that. One of those being the MLB Draft. So we're super excited. I know Seattle hosted All-Star a couple years ago. But one thing, like as I'm just kind of learning more about our draft preparations and everything that goes into it, you guys, the NFL draft's kind of late April every year. As a head coach, like what is your role in working with your GM, John Snyder, assessing what holes you need to fill? Like, how do you guys approach, who's on your draft board? Like, take us inside what like March and April is like, because it's so fascinating to me.
Yeah, if you nail the draft, that's the life. It's like having it's like having recruiting classes that nail it in college. It's the lifeblood of your program. It's an interesting dynamic though, because, we have scouts that are working, in overtime out there, visiting the schools, getting to know the players. It's not like, there is a network of players that people know, but the reason that those people get on the board is because there's scouts out there that are doing the work that figure out who's going to be good and can project all those things. So they're kind of the engine that drives everything. And then, John's at the head of the ship, kind of steering where we're going at all times. And then, once the season's over and after free agency is over, that's when the coaches come in, guns a-blazing, then they kind of enter the whole equation, the whole like life cycle of player acquisition, the draft and all that. And so that's when the Senior Bowl happens. And, then you go to the combine, you start meeting the players, and you're doing a ton of Zooms and you're watching a ton of tape. And then, different teams operate differently on who has, the final say and all the power, all that. Like everyone has all these semantics about how, who gets the credit and all that crap. But like here with John, he's just set the great stage for like how we operate, kind of open door policy, like no walls. Everyone's opinion is, and ultimately John's gonna make the final decision, and Jody's a part of that. But like, John and I, we team up together on who's going to be joining our team. But it's all these like small conversations that build about the guys and what we need and where the team's going. And so I think we're all kind of seeing this vision, and then as the players come up, you kind of pop them into the vision about where that would go and what that would look like. And then you start to get alignment on the types of guys you want to get. And then as the draft starts to unfold, that's when you're saying, okay, like, hey, this is we're either picking this guy or we're moving back, or hey, we could move back and get two guys that we want, or hey, we need to jump up and mortgage a little bit of some assets to go get. We really feel great about this guy, or so that's kind of how it works, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
That seems like an adrenaline rush, like the whole
like the mayhem of that room. Yeah.
That is. It's funny because it's like, for me, it's like game day is our thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you're trying to stay level headed, but like that's what you're doing it for. Draft day, I feel like I'm more in like a support role. That's kind of my job. I think John probably feels it more, because he's making the final call. But I think that's a good like yin and yang. I'm just more of like a steady force, kind of on the side, co-pilot style. Hey man, like boom, here we go. And there's been some times where he's like, hey dude, relax. To me, especially the first year. We got a great relationship. He's awesome. He does a great job. Our personnel people are awesome, and It's fun when we're aligned. It's like we can kind of scrimmage things out on how we see guys and visions for players, but it's all kind of coming from the same thing of like what we're trying to build, and so those makes those conversations a lot of fun rather than stressful when you disagree, and then we give each other a bunch of crap afterwards and stuff, and yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, I bet the celebrating's fun after. I remember Jori, before this, she was telling me about how you guys went and took BP with the Mariners. What was that experience like? What did the guys think? I mean, baseball was your first love as a kid, so were you able to hit any bombs out of there?
Well, I was a little disappointed in myself because, I was part of the crew that came up with the idea to like, hey, let's go make this happen. So I knew we were doing it. I should have gone to the batting cages before. I haven't hit a baseball in 15, 20 years. So like, back up there, and like the guys loved it. The Mariners were awesome. They basically gave us the field for a couple hours, had the whole thing set up and pitching machine, and we had a bunch of competitions going. The guys said I asked the guys in the team and more. I was like, how many can we hit out? And so 12 guys raised their hand. I'm like, there's no way 12 of you guys can hit homers. And lo and behold, we did a full, it was a logistical feat of historical proportions. We had 100 people take about 5 cuts in about an hour and 15 minutes. And then we kind of narrowed down the best guys in each team. So we had 12 guys do a true home run derby. And we'll start out. And I think we're going to actually give out the guys that hit home run balls. We're actually giving them out in the team meeting today. They grabbed the home run balls in the stands.
No way. Fun.
Hey, yeah. So, don't be publishing this thing before 2 p.m. Pacific today, but
right.
We'll be giving those out. It's fun. So I think we hit 8 to 10 homers out collectively.
It turns out impressive. Who really surprised you on the team of wow, he really got a hold of it. I didn't know those skills would translate.
Yeah, it turns out these guys are pro athletes, for a reason.
Right. Good at everything.
Yeah, our first round pick was knocking the hell out of Gray Zabel. I mean, he's a former baseball player. He threw he threw 86 on the machine. He's probably upset that I told you that. I did the fastest throw. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get I used to throw 85. I mean, this is easy. When I was 18, I reared back. I almost tore my shoulder off. I threw 72 miles an hour. I was like,
oh my gosh,
embarrassing.
That'll humble you.
Yeah, it will.
You guys did a great job, though. Yeah. Coop got a hold of a couple. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, that's so cool that y'all get to do that and are building relationships with other teams. But could you imagine coaching 162 games in a season?
Well, I'd be managing.
Yeah, right there. Thank you. Managing. Holy crap, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's got to be it'd be interesting to talk to those guys. Scott Service was here last year. He was a great signing board when we were going through some valleys last year. He was awesome. He was our manager last year here for the Mariners. But I just the timetable and how they see the world just through a completely different lens, because it's such a slower burn, I would imagine,
Exactly.
So.
Well, cool. We got 2 more questions for you before we wrap up. So Lauren here just got married last November in our off season. So
Congrats.
What newlywed advice would you have for Lauren? Mike?
Yeah, so he's got the normal job. He's the sales guy that holds it down, and I'm the one that's all over the place with sports reporting and sideline reporting, and I got my real estate license a couple months ago. So yeah, what's your best advice for managing these crazy schedules and all that?
I don't know if I'm the person. Maybe we should be asking Steph on what the advice is.
We actually should have invited her to this conversation.
Yeah, we should have had her on here. I just I think you got when I get wins with Steph, it's I realize the stuff that she's doing, and you're oh wow, and then you acknowledge it,
yeah,
and just build her up holy crap, if you weren't doing all these freaking things behind the scenes to make us go, we'd have no shot, So I don't hit it out of the park all the time, fall short all the time with help with kind of acknowledging those things, but yeah, it's pretty special that you can have that, if you're not it just feel inevitably it's not going to be a 50-50 thing on everything. It's just there's an understood in this area it's slanted this way, in this area it's kind of slanted that way, And so you kind of get it balanced out over time. But yeah,
I'm sure for you,
congratulations.
like certain month, thank you. And like certain months of the year, you're able to put in, 50-50. Whereas like some of the other months of the year, I'm sure she's like more 80% and you're 20%. So I feel like it probably shifts for you guys just throughout.
Whatever works for you and your family, like your relationship for sure. I mean, Steph's higher on the percentage and just about everything, I would imagine. I'm having a hard time thinking of something where it's like, yeah, I definitely carry the water on that area. But
Take that trash out every week. Woo!
yeah, I do nail that pretty good.
That's awesome.
So yeah, awesome.
Cool.
We're in Baltimore.
So I grew up in Dunkirk, which is outside of Annapolis. So like an hour away. I grew up a DC sports fan though. And then I actually worked for the Orioles in 2021. Yeah.
Oh,
I was their in-game host for a season.
Awesome. We missed each other that year. I was gone that year.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. All right. So last question before we let you go that we're asking all of our guests. So obviously you've got a crazy demanding job. Like sports are nuts, nights, weekends for us too. So what are you currently watching or reading just for fun?
Man. Well, summertime's my time. That's when I wish I was cool and like, yeah, I wake up at 0:30 every day and read 20 minutes. That's not me. I'll read in the summer when we're on vacation, so that's coming. So I don't know when I'm gonna read the summer. But that's on the to-do list. Okay, right now Steph and I are on an old school Law and Order kick.
Ooh,
solid.
I like that.
Seasons like 15, 16, 17, 18. The old school Law and Orders are where it's at.
Fun.
I love that.
I've never watched that before.
Maybe you gotta
It's
get
like-
joined. We did
It's on YouTube TV, like fast forward the commercials, delete.
we did that with West Wing. We went back in time and just rewatched all that. It was great.
For an old soul Jori.
Okay. All
Like, I
right.
don't even know what that is.
He's like, what?
I will say this, I'm really good. I'm pretty good at nailing like what's gonna happen in like who did it in the Law and Orders, or like where they're going with the thing, or if there's like someone that's like slightly too famous for their role, like that's definitely that person that shows up. And you're like, oh, it's that guy from the whatever. Oh yeah, it's definitely gonna circle back to so and so by the end. So pretty good.
You're like a junior detective in your free time, you know?
Yeah, I'm pretty annoying about it.
See, my dad is a homicide detective, so we didn't have any of those shows on in our house. He was like, that's trash. It's not real. It's not. I'm like, okay, Dad, people are just enjoying it. Let them enjoy something.
That's
great. I can
funny.
see that off limits. That's cool.
Yeah. Well, Mike, thank you so much for your time today. We hope you enjoyed your Braves Country Convos. And obviously, it goes without saying, whenever you are back in these parts, please let us know, because we'd love to have you out at a game. I know y'all got a little baby, so it's hard to travel as much. But, please reach out whenever you're back, or if your parents want to come, or sisters, or anybody. We'd love to have the Macdonalds here at Truist Park.
I love it. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. Hopefully, you get some great returns on this thing, but did a great job. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Bye.
All right, guys.